Hi there, this is going to be a short demonstration of the Pool Event Manager package for Unity. So as you can see in my scene, I have those two components, the player and the input component, and I kind of want those both components to work together, but I don't like them to be coupled too much. So I don't want to pass a reference from one of those components to the other, but I still want to exchange some information. And that's the reason why I'm using an event manager in this case. And in this video I'm gonna quickly demonstrate you how you can use the Pool Event Manager for achieving this. So if you download the Unity package, you will get the Event Manager folder that you can see here. And inside you have a pool prefab, which you can import to your scene. And that's essentially all you need to do if you want to use the Event Manager. So in my game, I want the player to jump if the user hits the J key on his keyboard. So I have the input component with an input behavior and the player component with the player behavior. In the input behavior, I'm just gonna use the update function, and I'm gonna say whenever the J key is hit on the keyboard, I want to trigger an event. And for that I can use EventPool.trigger, and I provide a name for the event. I'm gonna say the event is called jump. So whenever the J key is hit, I want the jump event to trigger. So in the player behavior, I'm gonna use the onEnable function. So every time this player behavior is enabled, we can start listening to those jump events. So for listening to events, there's the function called opt-in, and what I have to do is I have to provide the event name again. So I'm gonna say jump, and I also have to specify a callback function which will be invoked every time this event is triggered. I'm gonna call this the jump callback, and I'm gonna create this function. And in this function I'm just gonna use a very simple jump code using the rigid body component. Let's say 30 would be a good force amount for that rigid body. Let's try it. So if I hit my J key now, yeah, it's already working. So as you can see, the input and the player components, they are exchanging information, but they don't essentially need to know of each other. Now if I want to enhance this script and do something a bit more dynamic, I can actually use arguments with my events. So I'm gonna show you how you can do that as well. So I'm gonna say my jump event is now using a float argument, and actually in these brackets I can specify up to 3 types that are used for my event. For example, I could do float int my type, whatever. You can provide any type you like. So we're just gonna need one argument for this jump callback. It's gonna be a float, and as you can see, the compiler is already telling us that our callback is not compatible to that event. So what we need to do is we need to adjust the callback to also have one float argument, and it's gonna be the force of the jump. So I want this the force amount to be more dynamic and to be specified on the trigger of the event and not on the receiving side of the event. So I'm gonna go to my input behavior, and I'm also gonna specify that this event uses a float as an argument, and the compiler is already telling me that I'm not providing this argument, so I will have to add this float argument here. And let's try something simple like the mouse input or the mouse position x. So let's try this. So the x-axis would be this one. So if my mouse is to the right, it's going to be a high jump, and if my mouse is to the left, it's going to be a very low jump. So I'm going to try this, and you can see actually if I'm here, there's almost no jump, and if I go to the right, the mouse position X is actually getting bigger. So this is a very simple example of an event using one argument.